Chapter 20, POW, Prisoner of War. When the news spread that the wedding was canceled, all of Devon's guests left, including the wedding planner, Jenny. After I scrubbed my face clean, I put back on the clothes I was wearing this morning, when my life made sense. Pop and Tasha had also left, and I felt so bad because I just wanted to apologize to him. My mom took Major and my grandma with her to her house until things cooled down. I was sitting in a chair when Joey walked into the room, and it didn't make seeing him again any less tumultuous. My head was spinning, and my heart was racing as much as it once had any time Joey was near. He sat on the small couch in front of me and wouldn't make eye contact. I could smell him from where he sat. His body wash, his aftershave, his cologne, even the products he used in his hair. I just stared at him with a clenched jaw and waited for him to speak. "Well, I'm listening." He cleared his throat.
Haley, I'm so sorry for everything that has happened. If I could take back the last 15 months, I would. But I can't. I couldn't shake the feeling that something bad was going to happen on the last mission, and it did. When we landed over there, my phone was dead, and when I pulled my charger out of my pocket, it was broken. When we got to the barracks, I bought another cord and plugged my phone up to charge it. Just as I was about to call, the alarm sounded in the building, and we got news that the front of the compound was under attack. We all had to suit up and be ready for war. The hostiles that attacked the front used a kid and a car bomb to get our attention. We were all upset over the death of the child. When we got news that they'd spotted the same group only a few kilometers away, we assembled a quick team and followed them. It was only supposed to be an observe and report, but when we spotted the truck, it was parked on the side of the road, abandoned. I don't remember much before the blast except the sounds of gunfire. I told the guys to let me out when we were going past the other Humvee, so that I could check to see who was injured. The next thing I knew, I woke up buried in 2 feet of sand, riddled with shrapnel.
He said, turning his head to show me tiny raised scars going from his neck down to his shoulders.
I thought I was dead baby girl, and all I could think about was you and our unborn baby. I walked through the crash site searching for other survivors, but it was just me. My whole team had been blown up, so I just started running. I ran so far and so fast that I no longer knew where I was. When I stopped to rest, I got caught and was taken back to their camp. According to my superiors, I was a prisoner of war for 389 days. They did things, awful things to me that I will probably never tell you about, just to get information.
He said, wiping a stray tear from one eye. Joey stood up and unbuttoned his shirt. His chest and abs were maimed with old burns and deep raised scars. When he turned around, his back was even worse. I gasped when I saw the whip and stab marks. Some wounds looked older, while others looked like they were still healing. My heart shattered, and I no longer wanted to know what happened over there. Death would have been kinder. I felt the vomit coming and covered my mouth. Joey grabbed the decorative bowl on the desk and held my hair back, like he did when I was pregnant.
When American soldiers found me, I'd lost over 45 pounds and was real messed up. When they flew me back, I had to go through days of interrogation. Without my tags or identification, and after being held so long, it took several hours for them to figure out who I was. Thankfully, I filled out that stupid questionnaire. I just wanted to come home to you, baby girl. But like I said, I was really messed up. After months of wishing I were dead, I had to be heavily medicated. For 13 days, they had me in a hospital bed under heavy sedation. As soon as they released me, I rented a car and drove straight to Florida. It was raining so hard the night I got here that I could barely see the lines on the road. I just knew I had to get back as soon as possible.
He said as he cracked his knuckles.
I drove to our old apartment, but some boys answered the door. That's how I knew you'd moved into the house. When I turned onto Tanager Drive, I swore I saw pink lightning and a loud blast of thunder that sounded like trumpets. When I pulled up to the house, all the lights were off, and it was so late. I didn't want to wake you and Major, so I went to Mariah's. I stayed there for a few days. You can't even imagine how it feels to come back and find out that everyone you knew and loved thought you were dead. I drove to your mom's house hoping to find Hannah, but I didn't see her car, so I drove off. When I had the courage to come back to our house, I backed into the driveway and had a panic attack. I didn't want you to see me like that, so I drove down the street to the park. I was just sitting there, trying to get the nerve to knock on the front door, when I saw you again for the first time. You were wearing a short yellow dress and brown heels. At first I thought it was Hannah because your hair was short, but before you got to the end of the driveway, I knew it was you. I still can't believe you cut your hair.
He said as he reached out to touch it, but I pulled away.
I watched you for a minute, while you checked the mail, and when you walked back in, I got out of the car. I was about to cross the street when your friend pulled up. I realized that you were going on a date. I felt angry and broken inside. I immediately felt self-conscious and knew I needed to clean myself up. I got a hotel room down the street and shaved my beard. I'd lost a lot of weight and was practically unrecognizable.
He was explaining before I cut him off. That is complete bullshit, and you know it. I huffed with disgust.
Really, baby girl, because I was there the night that you got attacked at that gas station. I was jogging nearby, and I saw your car at the pump, so I decided to watch you get your gas and make sure you were safe. When that guy hit you, I lost my shit and all I saw was red. You didn't even know it was me, and you looked right at my face.
That's not fair. It was dark, and I was terrified for my life. You were the man in the black hoodie?
Yes, I told you. Unrecognizable. When I was more stable and no longer taking the mood stabilizers, I came back. I saw you come out in those overalls looking so fine, and my son was playing in the driveway. It took everything in me to not run over and scoop him up. It was hot that day, and I was taking off my hoodie when the neighbor called your name. I freaked out because I thought you saw me watching you, so I ran. I was scared about what you'd think of me, and I was feeling pretty upset when I saw that you'd moved on.
God damn it, Joey.
I know, baby girl. I'm so sorry for not coming back to you sooner. Do you know how hard it was to get information out of my dad? I asked him so many questions about you and Major, but he just kept telling me to go home and talk to you. He loves you as if you were his own daughter.
Pop knew you were alive and kept it from me.
He only found out a few days ago. Truthfully, I thought about letting you go, letting you be free to move on, but I couldn't. When my dad told me that you were getting remarried, I dropped to my knees and felt like the wind had gotten knocked out of me. My own father described my funeral to me. It took me seeing my name on a tombstone to believe it. I was walking back to my car that day you came to the cemetery. When I heard what you had to say, I decided it would be best if I just disappeared. It broke me, watching you cry in your car, alone. I followed you out of the cemetery and drove to Pop's house to say goodbye. When I walked through the front door, Major was there. I was so happy to be close enough to touch him that I wasn't even thinking. When you called, I made him swear not to tell you that I was back, so please don't be angry with him. You were on your way to my dad's house, and I didn't want you to have a heart attack when you walked in and saw your dead husband sitting on the floor with your son, so I left. You came so fast I hadn't even gotten off the street when you pulled up. I could have sworn that you saw me sitting at the stop sign, but you didn't.
Why did you come back?
This wasn't planned. I wasn't going to interrupt your new life, but all I could think about was, what if? I left this morning to go back to Virginia, but every time I tried to drive out of the city limits, something kept telling me to turn around. I'm sorry I waited until the middle of the ceremony to say something.
I sat there for a few seconds thinking about how grateful I was that Joey showed up when he did. I could have made a huge mistake. I felt bad for Devin, but relieved things happened the way that they did. Why didn't you just call me? Just call me and let me know that you were alive.
I did call, baby girl. I called you a few times. You didn't answer, and I couldn't bring myself to leave a voicemail. When it started recording, I panicked, and no words would come out of my mouth. When I called my unit to report in, they told me that they sent you a letter informing you that I was alive, so I called back a few days later, but the number had been disconnected. I guess you still don't open your letters.
He said, shaking his head. Hannah just gave that letter to me this morning. I didn't have time to open it yet. I heard your voicemail, and it freaked me out, Joey. I thought it was some creep.
I know, baby girl, I'm so sorry. I just don't know how many times and in how many different ways I can say it.
I reached out to touch his hand, and he shocked me. Literally. I wasn't sure if there was static in the room or if the spark between us was a sign. I got up slowly from the chair and sat down on the small couch beside him. Why don't we go home? I asked, looking out the window, realizing it had gotten dark.
I'd like that.